Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on the CEO and President of Beyond Walls, Al Wilson. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you're the CEO, you're the original founder of this organization. So how did it come about?
I'm dating myself here, but I worked for a company called Phoenix Media coming out of college, and we broadcast FNX Radio, which was an alternative rock station from where Lynn Arts is. And so that really had me sort of back in the day, and we're talking very early 2000s, knowing Lynn. And then I'd moved up to the North Shore sort of later in life in 2013. And then in 2016, started attending a bunch of community meetings here in downtown Lynn. And they were focused on desires to increase the walkability. So residents and business owners, as well as elected officials, met at the Lynn Museum, and they shared a desire for more public art and underpass lighting, as well as other areas of the downtown that needed more lighting. And so a bunch of us got together, and 28 of us formed a sort of committee, and we worked on figuring out how to bring in some large-scale public art and light the MBTA bridges and light other areas, and that's what spun out of it, was eventually Beyond Walls.
Because the murals that have been created, they're incredible, and you can see them from everywhere now. Everywhere you look, there's new ones, and then you had a big celebration when you first lit up the underpass. So kind of, how do you decide sort of where good places are to put murals or who you're gonna have paint them?
Yeah, so I mean, in Lynn, there's a designated art and culture district, Mass Cultural Council, in, I think, 2016, designated Lynn, rightly so, as a sort of culture and art mecca. I mean, there's so many great institutions here that have been operating for years. Roar Arts has been in existence since 1988, and they've been in their Central Square location since '94. You've got Lynn Arts, you've got the Lynn Museum, you've got all these other entities, and then all these creatives. So our initial 2 years was to really focus on that overlay of the cultural district. And so we chose to work with building owners and spaces there to activate with street art. And then, there's these major institutions like the Lydia Pinkham building, which is outside the district, but also made sense. And then like thoroughfares into the city, right? So Spring Street would be an example. So that's what originally had us focus on those areas. We've expanded out there afterwards, but I think Lynn now is sort of in we're coming off of work with the Creative Cities, which is a collab of all the sort of art and cultural institutions and artists in the city, and there's a lot of really good positive work in the city right now that's being done by a lot of people. So it's exciting to see.
And you've also you've done quite a bit of youth engagement too. Like you've done tours with high schools, you have a whole program for it. So you like to focus on getting younger people involved too.
We do, yeah. Kat Rubio, who's on the team, leads up our Classroom to the Streets program, as well as our engagement with the city. And so she's been working with both the public school system and then after school programs. So Girls Inc., the Girls and Boys Club, YMCA, a number of others. Really getting sort of youth and young adults familiar with the work and the meaning behind it. And then there's actual lessons for folks to actually educate themselves on this. As well as lesson plans for educators to lead folks through. So it's a pretty cool resource and one that we're happy to provide.
And you say expanding, you really mean it. You're now in 7 gateway cities, I believe it said, Lynn included.
Yeah, and we're, I'd love to come back on. We're pretty close. We're just not quite there to announce what is our 2023 street art tour, but working in a number of gateway cities. Of course, our heart and our home always lies in Lynn, but some really cool folks. Again, the gateway cities, they offer so much, right? You know, they're extremely diverse. The food is the real McCoy, and these businesses are mom and pop led businesses where the families are all in there, and it's really authentic food, and the art and culture sort of follows suit, right? So there's always work to be done. They're former industrial cities, so there's often like underutilized spaces that are challenges that we're able to take a creative lens to. But you know, then our heart and sort of our compass always returns to Lynn. So we'll do the street art tour for sure, but we're looking forward to doing more work here in Lynn. And you know, I mean, we're here on Union Street in the studio. You've got food from 5 continents within 100 yards, maybe 100 feet from where we're sitting. So, yeah, it's pretty special. So, and there's some exciting news on that front. You know, Lynn's going to have a restaurant week here shortly. That's pretty exciting news. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
To finally try everything around here, which I keep saying I'm going to try.
Oh, you got to do it. Yeah, you got to do it.
I know it, do. And you're talking a little bit about some of the future events. So did you want to talk about what you have planned or where people can learn more about it?
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of community events. We're doing Trash Bag to the Streets is our cleanup series where we combine it with a mural tour, but we have some really great partners in the city. We partner with the Lynn DPW and the Lynn Police Department. We partner with other nonprofits, but we do cleanups around the downtown. Then we've got a bunch of events happening both in our space on Mount Vernon Street and elsewhere. Folks can go to beyondwalls.org to see these events and how they can get involved or attend. And then Beyond Walls Lynn is our Instagram, and Beyond Walls Lynn is our Facebook, so folks can follow along there.
And you even mentioned before we got on, there's a survey that you're providing that people can also look at or fill out? Or
yeah, you know, every year we do a number of surveys. Right now we've got a survey that's open. We just want to hear feedback from folks that live in the city, what they'd like to see in their city. You know, our focus again is sort of art and culture as well as design response, like things like the underpass lighting project, or you know, taking a creative lens to a challenge in the built environment. All of that work has to be fed from the community, right? For us to understand, well, what is a challenge? What is a need? What is a desire? So the survey is online, and we'd love it. The more people we can get to share their thoughts and their input, the better.
It's all about community engagement through art, sort of.
That's it. You know, I mean, we do an awful lot of, you know, it's sort of fun. We do a lot of art-related work. But just when I start geeking out on that and the team starts geeking out on that, we learn of something that's very different in the built environment, right? So, and then that takes a very different lens where, you know, we work with a lot of architects and a lot of engineers and people that are artists, but also have, you know, they have some technical expertise because this is actual construction and built environment work. And that's fun too, you know, so I'm not saying I'd love to do another lighting of a bridge anytime soon, because that was a beast. But we never know what's going to come up from that. So last year we did Cook Street Park, which was a all-new playground built by the community. You know, there was a lot of groundwork beforehand and amazing work by Rick Starbird, the ward councilman, and then Lisa Nerich, who leads up the DPW, amongst others. But it was 150 people came out and volunteered, and in one day built a new playground for youth. So this year there's a number of projects that are sort of surfacing as a need, and we'll see what we end up doing, but we'll announce it on beyondwalls.org.
Well, I remember I saw the video on actually in the Cook Street playground, and it was amazing how many people came out. You built a playground in a day. It
was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun, but you know, it's kind of really cool because that playground serves a great community, and that community was, you know, having to sort of walk past that playground to get to some of the amenities that some of the other playgrounds had. And now they've got this great resource right there in literally their backyard. And it's for all age groups. And, there's also there's a community garden there. David Gass has led that and been very involved as a community champion there. So it's a pretty active space. But I think there's more to come there. There's more work to be done at that playground. Hopefully some new playing surfaces for kids and young adults coming there soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Definitely, and you've mentioned, like many organizations, you do a lot of collaborations because there's so many organizations in Lynn that you might have expertise in one thing, but then they have expertise in another, so you can kind of combine your skills.
That's right. I mean, right now we're very focused on working with Lynn Public Schools and the after-school programs here in Lynn, and there's been such a heavy lift, obviously, during the pandemic, and a lot of weight put on these educators. And so, absolute salt of the earth people, true pros, and they know this community. They know the youth in this community. They know what they're going through. They know what their needs are. So really, it's for them to, we look to them to inform us on how we can best serve and partner with them. And so that's honestly what we're super excited to do this year. And so there's certainly more to come there. I'd say if you're into this sort of work, get your popcorn ready because it's going to be a show this summer. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. But yeah, we're really excited for it. And you're right, the partnerships that's where all the magic happens.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see what you have in store. And just before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about that I hadn't covered?
No, I mean, I think, for us, we always try and shine a light on the different organizations and programs that are happening in the city. It would be easy to miss on highlighting Lynn Community TV. So I've seen the focus that the TV station has put on attending events and coverage. There's been so much going on in the city that Lynn Community TV has been there and allowed folks to see that. And there's a lot coming up, right? So hats off to everything that you do. And then we'll see, not just this summer, but I think next, starting now, there's a lot of groups that are planning on some really big things to come. And so I think this summer is going to be great. The fall is going to be great. We go into the winter, and then 2024 is looking, I'm always bullish on Lynn, but there's some really good things happening in the city right now. So it's exciting times.
It is exciting times, and thank you very much again for the compliment and for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And once again, my name is Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we will see you next week with more guests.